One of the most challenging questions to Scrum Masters, not only Scrum Master, to most of the people who practice Agile from the coaching point is the fact that they find it sometimes very difficult to understand the term developer. Not because they don't know who developers are, they know that developers are the people who do the work. But in most of the cases, when you're put in a spotlight, can you give me an idea what your team composition is? Or can you give me an idea what type of developers you were working with? Sometimes we stuck on this point because we generally understood that developers are knowledge workers, the people doing the work. But very few people, even those who are working, hardly take out the time to understand what the term developer actually means. In this video, we're going to talk about the different type of developers, and we're also going to talk about the different type of team composition and what to expect when you say that, oh, my team was a software team, my team was a data team. What type of developer will you expect to be part of that team? Now, I'm also going to talk about team sizing, what should ideally be your team size, and we'll talk a bit about cross-functional teams as well. Hello, happy Tuesday, and welcome to the Scrum Chat Room with Dr. Francis Mbunya. And today it's all about understanding the composition of a Scrum team, but specifically understanding the term developer. What exactly does it mean? And if you're new here, remember to subscribe because we committed to bringing you information that will help you advance your career in Scrum. And I hope you're looking forward. I'm going to be putting an announcement end of this week on our registering engineer training and certification that will be coming up end of this month. And if you need coaching, you've been in here for a while and it's not working for you, then you need something else that will work. All right, you can reach out to us. Our next Scrum certification, safe certification is 24th of February. But without wasting much time, let's get into the matter of the day, which is about understanding, number one, the composition of a Scrum team. All right. Is it compulsory that every Scrum team should have a PO, should have a Scrum Master, should have a tester, should have developers? Is it compulsory? All right. Now, it's a yes and it's a no. A Scrum team, typically, if you go by the theoretical aspect, should compose of the product owner. The product owner is the liaison between the customer and the knowledge workers. The knowledge workers are developers. So if you switch the term developers to the term knowledge worker, then you will understand that they are different people, because if you look at a group of people working on the same product, it means that they have different roles, right? It means that they have different skills. And this is the reason why we talk about a cross-functional team. Now, a cross-functional team is a team of people with different skills working to complete a product. If you think about a cross-functional team, think about building a house, right? For you to completely build a house and have someone move in or you move in, it's not just one person. You will not just say builders, right? They have people doing the plumbing work, the painting, the electrical work. You also have people doing all the different type of work, designing and all of that. That's in relation when we talk about developers. That is the composition. And that is why most often, if you find yourself in an interview, they will ask you, oh, what type of developers do you work with? Now, in some of the Scrum teams, you might not have a product owner. We've seen many Scrum Masters, they don't have a product owner. So they need to play the product owner role. And some people always think like, oh, the product owner role is very, very complicated or it's very difficult. No, it's not complicated. And I think we're also going to be launching our product owner coaching and certification soon. And I'm going to also encourage our Scrum Master to think about getting that certification. It's really not complicated. And most of the time, you also find yourself in a job position where the product owner doesn't even know what to do. And you are the coach of the team as a Scrum Master. So they expect you to support the product owner. So it's very important to understand what the product owner do. Now, as a Scrum Master, you are the coach. Now, when we say you are the coach, it doesn't mean that you need to know how to do the technical aspect, but you need to understand what your team is doing in order to help guide them, right? For instance, if you say that your team was building a new functionality or were building an application to be able to help the company, let's say, be efficient in their payout, right? Let's consider you work in a company and we have a team of developers that are working to build a functionality that help in effective payment of payroll, right? Now, when you think about the functionality they're building, first of all, payroll, how will you understand the kind of developers working on this application? Okay, so if we think about payroll, now we think about someone entering numbers in the back of your screen, right? And then when they enter numbers and maybe in the software that they're using, this number definitely uses the data you submitted while you were being employed, your number of dependent and all of that to calculate your tax system. And this is connected to also a central system where the IRS might be able to take their own taxes. So you realize that you actually creating a payroll for someone is not just about doing an Excel sheet, right? Which means there need to be different configuration. Now, when you start thinking like that, it helps you to start thinking, what are the type of people we need in this team? So, but then for you to understand the type of people we need in this team, you need to understand the different type of developers. Now, we have back-end developers, and back-end developers are also called API team, application programming interface, right? So we have front-end developers, and then we have UI, UX. Now, the front-end developers are the ones that work on the user interface. Now, when we talk about user interface, it's what you see, right? It's what, when let's say you're trying to log in into your account, when you log in into your account, now there's information that pop out. If something is not working, there is a prompt that pop out for you to see that, oh, I missed my password or so. What you see is as a result of what the front-end developer have connected with what the API team or the back-end developers are doing to bring it to reality. All right. Now, we also have the UI and the UX, user experience and user interface. Now, the UI and the UX, they're mainly not building code. They're trying to design how can the user see it in a way that becomes appealing, right? They try to focus on the colors, they try to focus on the structure, they try to kind of give more of, I would say, a business look on the information that is designed. On the information that's designed that, okay, if we do make it appear to flash out twice, it's going to give a more better experience. It's going to give a more better user interface. They try to say, oh, look, if we try to make the figures capital and small letters, those are the people working at the UI UX. Now, when we go back to back-end developers, right? Back-end developers, think about back-end developers like you getting to McDonald's and then there is a screen, right? You're going through a drive-through for those who have that experience. And at a drive-through, you're not seeing anybody. You speak to a speaker, like, I want this number of chicken nugget and I want a double mac and all of that. Now, that person receives your command. You don't see that person, right? So if you entering your credentials to log in into a system, there is something that happened behind before you receive information. So the person you listen to their voice receives your command, right? The system. Now, when they receive your command, there are different people within that environment, which you don't see within the kitchen, that make sure that they put together all the pieces that compose your meal. And then they gives you at the other end when your order is ready, right? So the people walking behind which you don't see, that brings the reality of what you see, they're called back-end developers, right? API, application programming interface, which means that they try to kind of connect every dot to make sure that when you put a command, when you place a command in a system, that command need to connect to different systems, need to pull out information from different aspects to give you the result which you want. And if they're not able to pull in that information, what is going to happen? They will tell you, oh, we're out of menu. The same thing, if you put your credential and there is no connection behind the system to look for the result that you want, it's going to say, oh, sorry, invalid, right? Or it's going to say error. Why? Because the configuration behind the screen is not right. Okay, now when you get to the other end, when you place your order, you don't even understand what is going on behind there. You don't even understand what is the composition of what they're making. And they give you in front there, what do you see? The presentation. Now, how it is presented is brought to you by the people called server. The people who serve you, those are the front end developer. They try to make it in such a way that when you see it, it's going to be appealing, right? How are you going to be happy when you receive it? So when the people in the back called the API team or the back-end developer try to write code, they're basically writing code. Now, software development is about code writing. And when you're testing how valid that code is. So when they say a tester is trying to test or is going through QA, they're trying to test to see if we connect both of these dots together, is it going to give us this? So that's the work of the tester, right? And the tester tests based on the different interface that are going to happen before we get the result. So they test the strength of the interface and they test if we go through that route based on the code that have been built, we are going to get this result. All right. So back-end developers, API developer. Now front-end developers, they deal with how we see the result. Now UI, UX, which is also part of the team, they deal with how we design. The money focus on marketing. You know, when it's marketing, the way we see information matters a lot. Now we have the QA, or we generally call them the tester. They understand how the result will be created, what is going to trigger the combination between two code to create the result. So they try to create system that can make it not work or system that can work, and they try to test that to ensure that it definitely passed the test. Now, look at tester like if you go to, let's say, a big bakery and there's a competition, people are kind of trying to put their best meal out there. The people who actually try to bite it and like they give you a feedback, right? Now they try to look at what is the combination between this and this. Is it really going to work? So we need to test to look at the strength. Now, this is not all about developers. Now, you can work in a system, especially those who work in a system where there is a lot of data or collection from, let's say, if you work in the bank, right? And we need to collect data applications for everyone that comes in to apply for a loan and all of that. Then that team composition need to consist of a data scientist. So a data scientist is the one that program how the data is received and how the data is stored in the system. I'm going to give you some technologies stack at the end, which you might use to explain or support your answers. All right. So it's a data engineer. And now you also have system which have sensors, right? Which if they just wanted to dictate maybe the presence of somebody, or they want to dictate just motion, right? So you also have sensors engineers. So this is just to tell you that when we talk about a development team, it's not just about one person somewhere, or just like everyone is doing the same thing. No, there are different types. We can go on and on. We also have those working on artificial intelligence. So when you're talking about, or when you work in a Scrum team, try to create time. The reason why you create one-on-one with developers is not only to talk about Scrum, is to understand their role and how it's helping to achieve the business value. Very important. Now, if I go a bit to talk about the some of the technology stack. For instance, those in the back end, if they use mostly Python programming, which is a language on how to write code. When you think about those that are working on the data side, you can start talking about SQL or SQL, right? Structured query languages. Now, when you think about also those working at the front end, you can start thinking about JavaScript, and you can start thinking about HTML as a language that they're using to actually put out there. Now, one other important person I forgot when you're talking about the composition of your team, it's the person we call the DevOps engineer, especially for people who are doing automation. Now, we also have the people that are working on the security aspect, right? But most often you will see DevOps engineer also have the ability to make sure that security concerns are actually taken into place. Yeah. So that's a bit about who developers really are. So a developer can either be a back-end engineer, back-end engineer, front-end engineer, can either be a DevOps engineer, data scientist. It can either be a UI UX design specialist. It can either be working with artificial intelligence and all of that. So when you have that idea, it helps you to be more better and understand your team and support them. All right. That was it for today, understanding the word development team and how to better present it. I'll see you in our next video. Do not forget to subscribe and do not forget to like. Drop your question. There's a question you want me to actually answer in my next video. I need to start taking back again. I want to start paying attention to your need. Please drop the comment. I'm going to take time to respond to all of the comment from this video henceforth. I'll see you in the next video.